Hey, I've been working with a lot of buyers recently, and I decided some time ago that having a buyer's consultation was smart. This way, I get to explain early in the process exactly what will happen as we work through the steps to purchasing. Hi, I'm Cynthia with Cinderella Sells and the Living in Eastern PA channel. And this is the place where we explore everything there is to know about living, working, playing, relocating, or buying in the Lehigh Valley of Eastern PA. Buying a home is an exciting milestone, but it's also a complex process that requires careful planning, preparation, and understanding. The home buying journey involves several key steps, from getting your finances in order all the way to closing the deal. So let's walk through the entire process step by step. Some brokers may explain or do things in a slightly different order, but here's how I have them laid out. The first step to buying a home is getting your finances in order. You start by reviewing your credit score, as it does play a significant role in your mortgage approval. Aim for a score of 620 or higher, although some lenders may have more flexible requirements. Next, save for a down payment. While in the past, traditional loans often required 20%. Many options are available for as little as 3 to 5% down today. And please don't forget about closing costs, which typically range from 2% to 5% of the home's purchase price. Here's an example of a form we use called the Buyer's Estimated Closing Costs. You can see that there are a lot of fees besides your down payment to have saved for. Finally, you're going to want to talk to a lender and get pre-approved for a mortgage. This involves submitting financial documents such as pay stubs, tax returns, and bank statements to a lender. A pre-approval letter not only shows sellers that you're a serious buyer, it also gives you a clear idea of your budget. You may be surprised or disappointed by what you do or don't qualify for. But keep in mind that while lenders want to give people mortgages, there are now a lot of checks and balances to ensure that they're giving mortgages to those that have the ability to repay them. I have several lenders and mortgage companies that I've worked with and would be happy to share with you. You're not obligated to use them, but they may be a good place for you to start. Every lender has slightly different programs, and one over the other may fit your needs better. While I don't get any kickbacks from these lenders, and you don't have to use them, I'll only recommend those that I have worked with and find easy, straightforward, and responsive. So, once your finances are in order, it is time to find a knowledgeable real estate agent. Now, if you're watching this and you're looking here in the Lehigh Valley, you've probably already found an excellent agent. When we meet, either in person or via Zoom, I will be asking you lots of questions in order to determine what you are looking for and what you can afford. There will be questions like, what type of property are you looking for? Is it residential, investment, commercial, or vacant lot property? Now, most of my buyers are searching for residential homes. So then we dig deeper by asking, are you considering a single family home, townhomes, condominiums, or multifamily properties? If you are considering investment property, are you looking for a fix and flip opportunity, rental income, or a long-term investment potential? And then for commercial properties, what specific purpose do you have in mind? That is, will it be office space, retail, industrial? So now let's assume that you are a residential buyer. In order to start narrowing down the search, I'll need to know how many bedrooms and bathrooms do you require? Do you prefer an attached, like a twin or a townhome, or a detached home? What square footage range are you considering? There's a big difference between 1,000 and 2,000 square feet. And what about having a yard, garden space, or a patio or porch? Are those important to you? Do you need a garage or off-street parking? And if yes, how many spaces do you need? Are you looking for a turnkey property? In other words, ready to just move into and start living? Or are you a DIY enthusiast who wants to do some renovations in order to make the place your own? Are there any specific features you'd like? Maybe a fireplace, a finished basement, an updated kitchen. There are no right or wrong answers to these questions. Every buyer or couple or family is different about what is important to them. So next, I need to know, what is your timeline for making the purchase? Are you looking to make an offer immediately, within the next month or two? Or do you have a more flexible time frame? Are there any external factors influencing your timeline, such as the sale of your current home? Are you in a lease? When is it going to expire? Or are you relocating from another area? Now, we're going to return to the money question because I need to know what your budget is. You may have qualified for a much larger mortgage than you're comfortable with, and you may ask me to keep that max price lower. Or you may be open to stretching your budget slightly for just the right property. Your lender and I can guide you on an estimated monthly mortgage payment with insurance and property taxes. Because remember, homeowners insurance will be required and taxes are forever. Typical closing costs range from 2% to 5% of the purchase price, like I said before. So for a property priced at $300,000, estimated closing costs might range from $6,000 to $15,000. These are going to include things like loan origination fees, title search and title insurance, home inspection fees, transfer taxes. In PA, this will be 2% of the purchase price and is usually split 1-1 between the seller and the buyer. Prepaid property taxes and insurance also go on this sheet, and your escrow fees. Have your eyes rolled into the back of your head out of boredom yet? There's nothing like financing to put you to sleep, right? I know the basics of lending, enough to educate my buyers. But your lender will be the expert in all things, well, lending. So let's move on to some fun stuff. Looking at properties online. This is great because you often don't see the flaws in a home in those little tiny pictures. So you get to imagine living there in the perfect condition that you see in the photos. You mentally hang up your curtains and your pictures, you arrange your furniture, and you basically move in, at least inside your head, right? Within the criteria that we have set up, that is the number of bedrooms, bathrooms, the lot size, the type of home, and the price range, I'll set an auto email property alert to send you anything within those parameters whenever it hits the market. Now, with the proliferation of sites like Zillow, Redfin, and Realtor.com, you've probably already done this yourself. So you can either send properties to me, what you find, or I will send you what I find, and we'll compare notes to figure out if it might be a possibility. One important document that I have access to through our MLS or our multiple listing service is called a seller's property disclosure, or SPD for short. Here's a copy of one that we use here in PA. Everyone selling property must fill one of these out to the best of their knowledge. This disclosure ensures buyers are aware of any existing issues or past problems with the property. You, as buyers, can use the information to assess the property's value, potential repair costs, and suitability for your needs. As you can see, it covers structural components, mechanical systems, water-related issues like flooding in the basement or a leaky roof, environmental hazards such as the presence of asbestos or radon, land and zoning information. Have there been any disputes or easements? The SBD also gives the sellers a chance to share any updates or repairs and the condition of items like appliances and fixtures. I know what you're thinking. When do we get to go inside of homes and have a look-see? Stay with me. I'm getting there. So if we haven't already signed some paperwork, this is when I will bring out 2 items for you. The first is a consumer notice. Buyers sign a consumer notice to acknowledge that you understand how real estate agents like me work, and then the different types of services that we provide. Here's a copy for you to look at one. You can see that it defines the 4 different types of agency. Unless I'm also selling your home and I'm your seller's agent, I will just be your buyer's agent. I will represent you as buyers. This form is required by law in Pennsylvania and in other states to ensure transparency. The other item that is now required before we go inside of any homes to tour is a buyer agency agreement. Take a look at it here while I give you a quick explanation. This is an actual contract, and it establishes a working relationship between us, you the buyer, and me, the real estate agent. I like to think of it this way. Up until this point, we've just been dating. You were free to talk to other agents and had no obligation. I didn't have any obligation to you and you to me. Once we sign this contract, we are married and we are exclusive. I am not going to cheat on you, and I really don't want you to cheat on me either. I will be committed to represent your best interest in a sale transaction, and in exchange, you will work exclusively with me. There's always an end date on this contract. I usually write these for 4 or 6 months, depending on your timeline to find a home. If you're in a hurry, 4 months is generally plenty long, but we might need to extend it even beyond 6 months if it takes us longer to find you a home. This agreement is legally binding and outlines the responsibilities and expectations for both parties and compensation for me. How do I get paid, you may ask? Well, up until August 2024, buyer's agents were generally paid out of the commission that the seller was charged by their agent as a percentage of the sale price. Sometimes that still happens. When I take a listing, I always encourage my sellers to compensate the agent who brings the buyer, as that's a great incentive for buyers' agents to bring their clients to see their property. However, this is not required, and sellers may only be offering compensation to their own broker and not the buyer's broker. If this is the case on a specific property, I will need to negotiate getting my commission from you, the buyer. Because as much as I love what I do, and as much as I may like you as a person, I can't do this for free. I also want you to know that buyer's agents don't get paid by the hour or the house or the contract. We get paid with commissions on closed transactions, and that doesn't happen until the property closes. We'll talk a little bit more about this later. Just know that we must have a buyer agency agreement in place before we go inside of homes. So once we've dotted our I's and crossed our T's with the finance and the contract, and we found a home or 2 or 3 or more that's worth a closer look, we will make appointments to go inside of them and see. These are called showings, and I will make these reservations or appointments on a software that realtors use. If there are several in one day, I have the ability to cluster them by proximity to one another. And this ensures that we're not starting in Catasauqua and driving to Easton and then over to Macungie and back to Forks Township. Sometimes sellers like a lot of lead time, so we want to make these appointments as early as we can or as far enough in advance as we are able to. This often happens if there are tenants living in the home, and the homeowner or the seller need to let the tenants know that there's an appointment in 12 hours, 24 hours, whatever the lead time is. Other times, homes are empty and we can go inside of homes at the very last minute. You'll see when we begin this that some showings take 5 minutes, as it only takes that long to cross it off your list. Other times, we may be looking in every nook and cranny of a home, and we could be there 45 minutes or even longer. I've been inside of a lot of Eastern PA homes, so I might point out items that you could be unfamiliar with. An example may be a tank for heating oil, a sump pump, or a radon mitigation system. Throughout our showings, we'll always want to keep in mind that no perfect home exists. Even if you build it from the ground up, there will be issues and items that you wish were different. And even if you have $1 million budget, there will be something about that home that you will want to change. Now, hopefully, we will find something that you like and that meets your needs within a few weeks or a month, perhaps 2. Once we do, it's time to talk about making an offer. Now, I will help you draft an offer using the Pennsylvania Association of Realtors, or PAR, Standard Agreement for the Sale of Real Estate, ASR. Here's a copy for you to look at as I talk through it. This is another crucial contract that is many pages long. Every offer includes the purchase price. Obviously, that is very important. Then there are any contingencies, such as inspections or financing. If you're taking out a mortgage, we'll check this. A good buyer's agent will always recommend having at least a home inspection. If you're buying a property with a septic system or a well, I'll also recommend those inspections as well. A home inspection is important because it allows you to identify potential problems with the property before purchasing it. It gives you the opportunity to negotiate repairs or to even walk away from the deal if significant issues are discovered. This could potentially save you a large amount of money on costly repairs down the line. It essentially provides insight into the overall condition of the house. Inspectors go from the roof all the way down through the house and into the basement or the foundation. They highlight safety concerns and maintenance needs that might not be readily apparent to a casual buyer. Recently, due to the competition for homes, many buyers are waiving inspections. While this may sound crazy, it makes an offer more attractive to the seller. If they know they won't have to do any repairs, give credit towards repairs, or allow the buyers to walk away during the inspection contingency period. In addition, in our offer, we also need to decide how much money we want to put down as a deposit. We call this an EMD, or earnest money deposit. And think of it as your first payment. It tells the seller that you're serious about buying the home. A seller is not going to pull a home off the market without an earnest money deposit. Your earnest money can help you stand out from other potential buyers. It provides a financial stake in the transaction and tells the seller that you won't back out without a good reason. When the deal goes through to closing, the earnest money is usually applied to the buyer's down payment, which is why I told you to think of it as your first payment. And lastly, when we put in this offer, you're going to choose your preferred settlement date. Now, normally we need at least 30 days to complete the title work, get your mortgage commitment, allow the sellers to move out, etc. Once the offer is submitted to the seller's agent, we wait. And waiting is the hardest part. When you are in love with a home and there are multiple offers on it, this part is torture. I may send you a meme or a cartoon or praying hands or fingers crossed, but I promise you that I will tell you when we get a response from the seller's agent. At this point, the decision is in the seller's hands, and they can accept your offer as is, they can reject it outright, or they can counter your offer. Negotiations may follow, particularly if they counter your offer. But throughout this, I promise to work on your behalf to get the best price and terms for you. So in addition to the ASR, or Agreement for the Sale of Real Estate, an offer will include several other documents. Remember the SPD, or the seller's property disclosure? Here, where it says buyer's initials, sellers and their agents want to make sure that you have read this and understand what you are buying. If the home is built prior to 1978, there will also be a lead-based paint disclosure because all paint contained lead before it was banned in 1978. And lastly, we need to show that you are qualified to purchase this home. So we include with every offer your pre-approval letter from your lender, demonstrating that they have conditionally approved you to borrow X amount of money so that you can purchase this house. This is another reason why it is critical to have that chat with a lender and get pre-approved. It costs us nothing to put an offer in. But I will guide you if I think that your offer is too low or too high. And sometimes it takes 3 or 4 offers to have one accepted. However, once an offer is accepted, whether immediately or after some negotiation, then we celebrate. And I mean that. It is cause for a party. So let's pause here and act like we're celebrating an accepted offer. Okay, so now the party is over and we have to get back to business. There's one thing that happens after every accepted offer, and that's getting your EMD where it needs to go. You have 5 days to either wire or get a check to the listing agent's office or to the title company. The listing agent will tell us where it's supposed to go. Then, if you've chosen to have an inspection, we need to get that on the schedule because the clock is ticking. You can hire whoever you would like, but if you need a few names, I can help. You will pay the inspector directly with your money, not out of your loan. So you'll need to allow $400 to $800 depending on the number and type of inspections that you have elected. We only have 10 days to get this scheduled, executed, and to receive the inspector's report. These are comprehensive books, anywhere from 40 to 80 pages with tons of information, observations, recommendations, and lots of pictures. Together, we will decide if the noted items are worth bringing to the seller's attention. While a seller has no legal right to terminate the contract, he or she also has no obligation to make repairs or give credit towards repairs. If there's an issue that you would like the seller to address, we will ask it during this time. I have some buyers under contract now with a dishwasher that the inspector noted wasn't draining. My buyers brushed that off and said that they would just replace it at their expense. However, there were many rotting boards on and under the front porch, so they asked for those to be replaced. This was an expensive repair and they didn't want to take that on. The dishwasher, they could handle. These are just a couple of examples for reference. And this is all part of the negotiation process. And again, I will work to get you the best terms for repair or credit. At this point, I will send the signed contract to 2 places, your lender, so that they can order the appraisal, and the title company of your choosing. Again, I can recommend one. I'm not sure which state you're watching from, But I have to shout out to my home state of PA for being a title state instead of an attorney state. This means that a title company can manage the closing without needing an attorney to be involved. Our next door neighbor, New Jersey, is an attorney state, and that is the only reason that I do not have a dual license there. So what does a title company do? Well, a clear title is essential for a smooth transaction. So a title company will perform a search to ensure that there are no liens, disputes, or claims against the property. Title insurance protects you and the lender from future legal issues related to the property's ownership. Remember, that's an item on the buyer's estimated closing costs. Once the title company begins their work and with inspections and the appraisal complete, it's time to finalize your mortgage. Your lender will verify all financial details and issue a final loan commitment. But be prepared to provide any additional documentation promptly. You'll also need to secure homeowners insurance as it's required by lenders before closing. It's also a good idea to arrange for the utilities like electricity, gas, garbage, and water, so that they're all in your name on closing day. The appraisal will come back, hopefully at or above the price, and you will get a closing disclosure, which is a document that outlines all the financial details of the transaction, including your final costs. On the day of closing, we will meet at the house for a final walkthrough. This happens about an hour before closing, and it is simply to confirm that it's in the agreed upon condition. In PA, the standard is broom swept clean, which is so arbitrary. Kudos to the sellers who have it professionally cleaned for you. More sellers should do that, hint, hint. And then we head to the title company for what we've all been waiting for, closing. Generally, both buyers and sellers meet together, often for the very first time, around the closing table. I will be there with you, and I always tell my buyers to keep their writing hands loose, okay? You will have a huge stack of papers to sign. Once everything is signed and the funds are transferred, the deed is recorded, and you receive the keys to your new home. Woo! That was a lot of information. But remember, as your buyer's agent, I will be with you every step of the way. It is always my goal to help you navigate all of these steps so that things go smoothly. So whether you are looking to buy in 9 days, in 9 weeks, or 9 months, I look forward to working with you from start to finish. Bye.